Why Not? A queer podcast.
Thank you to our sponsor, Pineapple Healthcare, an award-winning primary care clinic right here in Orlando.
Pineapple Healthcare offers mental health counseling, HIV, STI testing and treatment, and specializes in care for the LGBTQ plus community.
Open Monday through Saturday. Call today at 407-553-6336 and schedule your appointment.
Pineapple Healthcare. Better together.
They're still here. They're still queer. Are you used to them yet?
Join the Orlando Gay Chorus for an unforgettable evening as they celebrate 35 fabulous years of harmony and inclusivity with their special 35th anniversary concert, A Choral Kaleidoscope.
Friday, May 16th at the Ritz Theater in Sanford, or on May 28th at the Steinmetz Hall at Dr. Phillips Center.
Tickets at orlandogaychorus.org/shows.
Hi, everybody. I'm Rick Todd.
And I'm Jeremy Williams, and you're listening to
Why Not? A queer podcast.
Episode 120.
120. Oh, my gosh.
120.
We're 120 years old. Hey, did people stop living? Because you stopped telling us who the oldest living person was.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that. Because I got a tidbit to you. 120 is the age that Moses was when he died.
Really?
Yeah, Moses lived to be 120. And in Jewish tradition, when you're wishing someone a long life, they say, live until 120. And they're referencing how long Moses lived.
Okay, so Caitlin just said, if you believe. But,
Oh, my.
But I just wanted to say, how dare you so close to Mother's Day? Second of all, like, that's a fact, right? He actually lived to 120. He wasn't 500 like the rest of them.
And
I'll see you in hell. Yeah.
I don't know the factuality of how long Moses lived, but I mean, you know, people, as we've talked about in previous episodes, people have lived to be 118, 119. So 120 isn't that unfeasible.
No, that's why I was saying it seems real.
Yeah, I buy it. I buy it.
Look, I just got a message on Facebook that I was tagged in a post.
Yeah.
Are there people that tag you in a post and you immediately, like, the blood rushes out of your face and you're like, oh my God, what is it going to be?
Whenever I get tagged into something, in anything, the blood rushes from my face. And it's like, why are you tagging me? But I have it set up so that I have to approve any tags. So nothing fishy is going to go on my page without me knowing.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean, like, I don't think that really works. I don't know how to explain it, but, like, say you and I are friends, and if I tag you in a post, then all of our mutual friends are going to see it whether you approve it or not.
On your page, yeah. It just won't show up on my page.
Yeah.
And
anyway, somebody just tagged me, and I was like, oh, God, what is it? And then I looked at it, I'm like, oh, I'm going to bring about that up anyway when we talk about it.
Yeah, I'm not concerned.
Moses wasn't real?
Allegedly.
It depends who you ask.
It does, but scholars say no.
Huh.
Sorry.
You were going to
You
say?
have to apologize to me. I'm not Jewish.
Or Christian.
Or Muslim. I'm neither one. None of the above.
Is Moses recognized by Muslims? I guess so. I don't know.
Jesus is recognized by all three of them. There's one of them is the only one thinks he's the son of God.
Right, and that's the only true religion.
Oh,
just
moving on. I've got some more 120s for you.
All right, let's hear them.
120 is the scale for model trains. So anytime you work with model trains, everything is at a 120 scale to real life.
Really?
Yeah.
That is an interesting tidbit of information.
You're
That is
welcome.
a trivia question.
There you go.
Should be a trivia question.
120 is also the standard voltage for the U.S., Mexico, and Canada. So those little plugs that we got, little outlets, those are 120 outlets.
Huh. These are good facts.
I know. I believe Europe is 220. So you have to have an adapter if you want to plug any of your stuff into anywhere in Europe.
So what is up with my algorithms when I search for anything cool about the number 120?
Yeah.
Maybe that was the problem. None of these are cool. But I think they are.
I mean, I think they're little trivia
So why wouldn't they
types.
pop up?
I don't know. Maybe were you using Bing again?
I was using Miss Chenandler Bong.
America, the country code is 001. So that's why if you dial in country or so you're calling into the country, you dial 001. Everybody has a country code. 120 is the country code for Saudi Arabia. So if you ever want to dial to Saudi Arabia, you're going to have to dial 120 first.
Dial 120, give me my gold.
Yes. And then the last one I have, this is for you folks in Boston, in East Boston.
This is going to be wicked cool.
It's a wicked smart tidbit. The bus line that runs from Orient Heights Station to Jeffreys Point, which I guess is the longest bus line in Boston, it's in East Boston, has 120 bus stops along its route.
Wow.
Yeah. So there you go. There's your 120 facts.
There you go.
I hope y'all learned something.
Would you like 2 more?
I know I would.
I know you would too. All week long. I bet you've been missing this. It's been
stop
almost
thinking.
It's been like a week and a half since we sat down. Oddly, it's been a week and a half since we recorded, but within 48 hours, 2 of our episodes will go online.
The magic of the internet.
Anyway, this is the 120th greatest movie ever made.
Driving Miss Daisy.
I'm going to give you a hint.
Okay.
Same director as the movie for 117.
Remind me what the movie at 117 was.
La Ventura with Antonioni. Yeah.
Is that the director, Antonioni?
Yeah, Antonioni.
Oh, yeah, we talked because he's mentioned in the Rent song.
Yes.
Yeah. He either directed Death's Door or Debbie Does Dallas. Was it that one?
What if he did Debbie Does Death's Door?
Oh, I think Debbie did Death's Door a long time ago.
That's like necrophilia. It stars Jack Nicholson. Does that help?
Chinatown.
No.
That's Milos Forman did One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Little Shop of Horrors. You know, he was in the original Little Shop of
I
Horrors.
do know that. Yeah, he
was
the original
Bill Murray
nerd.
character
Oh,
in
no.
the
he was the dentist.
the dentist patient. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Gotcha. The Passenger.
The
1975.
Passenger. A lot of people were the passenger in 1975.
Now, here is something that'll be fun.
Okay.
I'm going to try to get you to guess this without it being obvious. So this is the 120th greatest director of all time.
Okay.
Do you want to give it a stab without any help?
Peter Jackson.
No. So I'm going to give you...
How crazy would it be if it was Peter Jackson?
I'm going to give you a clue.
I don't know. Robert Zemeckis.
It is.
Yes.
I was drinking out of my Death Becomes Her mug.
For a moment, I was like, I don't know who directed that. And then my brain said, dumbass, of course you do.
Actually, we talked about him last week when we talked about the Back to the Future show.
Yeah.
So those are, to me, the greatest movies he's done, Back to the Future series. But he also did...
Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
That was on my list.
That.
I was going to start with Romancing the Stone to see if you could get
movie.
it, if you could guess that. Would
I
you have
love
got
him.
it from that?
Yeah, I know. He did that one.
He also did Castaway, which I ended up watching yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was really
Forrest
good.
Gump.
Oh, he did that too?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
He won an Oscar for that. Him and Tom Hanks won Oscars for that.
Yeah, good job. Good director.
You know, it's interesting because he did Romancing the Stone, and then you have Jewel of the Nile, which is the sequel.
Yes.
He did not direct that. Do you know who did? Danny DeVito.
Really?
Yeah.
I liked those movies when I was a child.
They're really good.
Yeah.
They're the type movies like if you watch now, you're like, I probably shouldn't have watched this when I was like 8 and 9 years old. But they're really good movies.
This reminded me of my childhood. I was watching some station. I don't know why I was watching the station. When I tell you what the advertisement for the station said, you'll be like, why is this the station you would watch? But it was a bunch of kids. There was a commercial on a bunch of kids. And they're like, I remember watching that movie, or I remember walking in, mom and dad are watching a movie and dad ran up to me and covered my ears, or mommy ran up and covered my eyes. And, hey, if you don't want to do that anymore, watch this network. And it was Up TV or something like that. And that's the station I'd been watching all day. And I was like, and I thought it was weird because they would go to say like the word whore in a movie and they would bleep it out. And I'm like, why are they bleeping out whore? Clearly she's a whore. No. So anyway, I watched some very wholesome TV.
Oh, very nice.
This weekend.
All right. I watched a lot of HBO this week. I heard a lot worse than whore.
Yeah, I was going to say, that doesn't sound... My mom told me... Sorry, Mom. Yesterday, we were talking about TV shows, and she said, do you watch Mobland? And I said, no, I haven't started watching that, but it seems like the kind of a show I would like to watch.
Yeah.
And she was like, I had stopped watching
That's the one with Sylvester Stallone?
No, that's something different.
Oh, that's Tulsa King.
Yeah, Tulsa King.
Which one's
Pierce
Mobland?
Brosnan, Helen Mirren, and the guy who yelled at the reporter for asking him if he was gay. The gay reporter that asked what's his name?
Tom Hardy?
Yes.
I love all three of them.
Yeah,
Why didn't you watch that?
Right.
What is it on?
It sounds like a show I should
Yeah,
watch.
it sounds great.
It might. Now,
Peacock, it sounds peacockish.
that sounds like I'm going to say this and I'm going to enjoy this. I think it's Paramount.
Is it? You know what? It is. Paramount's the one that has that Kevin Costner one. Yellowstone. So yeah, Helen Mirren has been doing a lot of stuff with Paramount.
Yeah,
lately,
she's on the prequel to that.
yeah,
1923
with Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I want to watch that too, but I haven't.
I love both of them, so I probably will watch that.
Yeah, it's on the list.
I'm converting to CBS.
I'm like, you know what people say when people say, "Hey, have you watched this?" Do you ever say like, "Oh, it's on my list"?
Yeah, all the time.
And do you go back and watch those things?
Sometimes.
When I
have
say
a
it's on
very
the
long
list, when I say it's on the list, it means I'm never going to watch it.
Oh no, there's some things I go back and for the longest time, Schitt's Creek was on because Kathleen. Her and Keith started watching it like from the very beginning when it was on Pop, and she used to say it's so good. I was like, it's on my list, and I did eventually go to that on my list.
Yeah, and that was one that was I would say was on my list, and I was lying. It was never on my list, and I never wanted to watch it. I watched the first episode and hated it.
Yeah,
and then by the 5th episode, I was in love with it.
Yeah,
and I was so annoyed that it took me so long to watch it. Same way, I think I didn't watch Ted Lasso.
Oh
because I don't care about soccer.
Yeah, I didn't watch it because I didn't have Apple TV for a while.
But
it's a great show.
It's got to be my favorite ever made. It has to be. I don't know. Anyway,
it just has to be.
It's got to be.
It just has to be. It just has to be.
So anyway, that's our number 120 wrap up.
All right,
but we're gonna jump right into our weeks because I know that we've had busy weeks. We got a lot to talk about. So let's talk about our weeks in general, and then we'll go back.
And we'll go back and talk about what we did together.
Yeah, because we saw some Fringe shows, so we'll get to that.
Week-wise, probably the biggest thing is I had my yard sale.
Oh, God. Finally, we get to hear what happened.
You'd have hated it, but I was perfectly fine with it. So the yard sale went from...
Is this because I hate everything or because I hate yard sales?
That and also the way that it started out. So the yard sale was advertised from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. About 6:30, I got out in the garage. I had everything set up in the garage. So we cleared out all the junk out of the garage. And we took shelves and tables and made like a U-shaped around the garage. And did the yard sale out of the garage. That way I could keep the garage door closed.
Perfect.
Until we had to open it. And then there was like larger furniture stuff that was just sitting in the middle that we moved out into the driveway. So about 6:30, I go out there and I'm organizing the shelves. Joey comes out and he's like, holy shit, it looks like a TJ Maxx in here. It was decorated very nicely. And I had kitchen stuff over here and I had collectibles over here and everybody had a section. I had a little desk set up with our cash register set up. I had some little pins and stuff, like, last minute purchases when you come up like they do at stores. So it was really cool. So I'm sitting there and probably about 6:45, there's a knock on my garage door. And my first thought was, Rick would be so pissed off right now.
I would have started banging on it on the other side. Go the fuck away.
And so there's a knock and I said 7 o'clock and then I don't hear nothing. So I was like, okay. So I go back to it. I get everything set up. I grab my coffee. It's like 6:50. And I was like, we'll throw the door open. If there's a guy or something out there, he can come in and peruse or whatever. So I open it up and there's like 4 guys. And the first car I noticed because I looked out the window that he had been there since 6:30. And they come in and they just start buying the shit out of toys, collectibles, and anything Disney. One guy there spent $200 and just bought up old crap. Like he was like, oh, these are Funko Pops? I was like, yeah, but I had done this thing because I had a shit ton of Funko Pops where I was going to make a Funko Pop Christmas tree. So I got those little eye hole screw things and I screwed them in the heads of the Funko Pops and put little ribbons on them so you hang them from a Christmas tree. And the guy went nuts for him. He goes, I'll take all of them. So I was like, enjoy your Funko Pop Christmas tree. But like the first wave bought them all up.
I hope he wasn't doing anything nefarious with them.
Oh, I mean, they're his now. He can do whatever he wants with them.
He just ditties up some oil and rolls around in a bed with them all.
But I noticed people came away. So, like, the first wave was the people who were looking for things that they sell on. And a couple of them were like, I just go to yard sales and I buy stuff to sell online, or we have tables at flea markets. And I was like, more power to you. I don't have the time or the energy to put shit together and go to a flea market all day. So you, by all means, take my shit and go sell it. The second wave was like, I call them the moms kind of group. It's all the women in their 20s and 30s. They usually come in little groups, and they've got their kids in tow.
They all got red hats, and they get off the bus.
Yeah, and they're all just sorting through stuff.
They're looking for needles
clothes and jewelry or
not needles, like, you know,
knitting
crafts.
needles. Sure, yeah.
Go.
They're looking for crafty stuff, kitchen stuff.
Not crack.
And then the third wave is the college kids and the young couples who are looking for like furniture and books and that kind of thing. So it went really well. We made a little over $500.
Oh, nice.
Got rid of a bunch of junk. There was still a bunch of stuff left over. So after the yard sale, I was calling around to find out if any like thrift places wanted, donation places wanted to come pick, because we had it all boxed up. It's like, I'm not putting all the shit in my car and driving it to the Goodwill and dropping it off. I wanted somebody to come pick it up. So Goodwill doesn't do pickups. So I called out of the closet. They did not have an available pickup time. And also they only pick up furniture. So if you have like boxes and stuff, you have to bring those in yourself. And I apologize to anybody who is still boycotting them, but Salvation Army will pick up all your shit. So, and they'll do it like next day. So,
well, you were giving them to Orlando Salvation Army, and I think that in the city limits of Orlando, they're not.
I think they're good.
They're okay with the
they're good.
And
they're
there's, just so anybody who's angry about Salvation Army, they're, I'm sure you have reasons. I'm sure you have your examples, but all I can say to that is that they have a tab on their website that are resources for LGBTQ people. Now, whether that changed with the new election, I don't know. But
it didn't everything.
Yeah, it didn't. Yeah.
So I called them and they were like, "What do you have?" I was like, "I still had my couch, which I have up on Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist. It's just an old beat up couch. It's still, it's been in our living room. It's not like it was sitting in the garage this whole time." And we sat on it and everything, but we want to get new furniture. So I was like, I got a couch. We have some end tables, some bookshelves, a beat up TV stand, leftover kitchen and books and stuff. And I was like, if you all want to come get it, it's all yours. And they're like, yeah, we'll come Saturday. Gave me a little time frame. So they pull up in their big U-Haul looking truck with the Salvation Army on the side, and they come in, and it's two guys, a young guy and an old guy. I think when they do things like this, they always pair a young guy and an old guy up together. And he's like, all right.
I've seen videos like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So he starts going through my stuff, and he's like, well, we can't take this, and we can't take that. And I was like, why? So like the side tables, he's like, did you paint those? And I was like, well, somebody did. I didn't, but yeah, they're painted. So somebody painted them. We can't take things that are painted. And this bookshelf is scuffed up. We can't take that. And this TV stand has scratches on it. We can't take that. And I was like, all right. So he goes, but we'll take the couch. So they're taking the cushions off the couch. Under the cushion is like the edges are frayed a little bit. And there's like 2 or 3 little holes underneath the cushions. And he's like, yeah, we can't take that. And I was like, I'm sorry, were you under the impression that you were coming to pick up brand new shit to sell at the Salvation Army? And he's like, well, we put these in our little storefront to sell them so they can't be damaged. I said, it's 3 little holes under the cushion. Nobody's going to fucking see it. And he goes, well, if we can't repair it, then we don't take it. I was like, whatever. So the younger guy, who was much nicer, this older guy was crabby. But the younger guy, he's like, hey, we have a list of churches that accept donations. And as he says, they take free stuff and they give it away to poor people. And I was like, well, that's nice. So I took the list, called the first 2 churches on the list. First, none of them give anything away for free. All of them are like, oh, we sell it in our storefronts. And I was like, you should really let the Salvation Army know, because they're telling people you give away stuff for free to poor people. And they're like, no. And I was like, all right, well, regardless, do you want to come pick up my shit? So they were like, send us photos. And both of them replied back, no, we're good. I'm like, you know what? Doing the Lord's work, I guess.
You know what shocks me about that? I've seen episodes of Hoarders where people they have to have their whole house gutted and stuff, and then they get furniture from places like this and bring it in to give them for free. They would probably love your couch.
Yeah, it was. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. You've seen it. It's it's just a regular green couch. Got a little chaise lounge on one end. Very nice. So I was like, it's up on Craigslist. Large garbage pickup is on Fridays. So I was telling Joey, I was like, whatever doesn't get picked up on Craigslist goes on the curb Thursday night and it'll disappear. I'm sure somebody will pick it up. So I got hit up on Craigslist, and it was 2 college girls. And they were like, hey, is the couch still available? And I was like, yeah. You're more than welcome to come get it if you want it. And they're like, all we have are $20. And I was like, oh, if you like it all that much, it's yours. And I gave it to them for free, and they were super happy. And I pointed out, I was like, under the cushion, there are 3 small holes. I don't know if that's a deal breaker for you. And they said no. They loved it. They loaded it in their SUV. And they were so happy and so gracious. And I said, see those side tables and those bookcases? You want those? And they're like, yeah, we're good. So that shit's going to the curb on Friday. So if anybody wants 2 side tables or a bookshelf, you know where the bookshelves are from? They're the ones that used to be in our office. Remember the brown bookshelves?
Oh, God.
No, granted, I get why nobody wanted them.
Jeez. I would have, I would say I'll take them if you give me $100.
No, but they're good shelves in the garage. They're just like we have, because our washer and dryer is in the garage. So we have one over by the washer and dryer that we keep like the laundry detergent, like different garage things like tools and stuff on. And then the other one was just for storage, had like boxes stored on it. But funnily enough, Salvation Army took one of the bookshelves because it wasn't that scuffed up. But the other one, they're like, no. I was like, all right, well, that's going to go to the curb. So the only thing now I got is my dining room table and the lamps. I've been going back and forth on Facebook with this guy who wants the lamps, but he's like, he was supposed to pick them up on Saturday. And he's like, oh, I ended up having to work a double. And he goes, I can get them tomorrow. And then he messaged me last night. He's like, my mom made me spend the whole day with her because it's Mother's Day. Can I get them tomorrow? I was like, dude, you have till the end of Monday to get them, or I'm giving them to someone else.
Yeah, I don't. We have such a hard time on Facebook, Facebook Marketplace trying to sell things. It makes me crazy.
I don't because I was talking to Kathleen about this too. You put stuff up and then you get like bots that hit you up, and it's like, why? It's just annoying because it's not like you're gonna fish information from me from my old couch or my old table. It's like you're just being annoying right now.
Yeah,
Jenny 4721.
Hey, that bitch asked me about my dining room table. No.
She's trying to steal all our furniture.
Yeah.
So that was the yard sale. Other than that, I think basically just the Fringe shows. So,
okay.
I've been packing. I don't know if I've mentioned this in so many words.
I don't know if we've thoroughly explained our situation, so let's explain it.
So I am moving to New York next month. So we're still going to be doing the podcast, but we'll be doing it
that is our goal.
Separated. Yes, we will see how it goes.
Don't worry. To all of our fans,
there will always be a podcast.
We will do this.
It may change. It may become a little Menudo-like. I've aged out. You'll bring someone younger in.
We never know what's going to
be a podcast.
Yeah, we're going to do it, but you and I are going to do it, and everything's going to be fine. We're just going to do it remotely.
Yeah.
Instead of right now, we're sitting in the same room. But we've done a podcast once or twice where we did it through an online portal, so we'll just do that.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a couple of weeks that you're not available.
Yeah.
So we're going to bring us some guest
hosts come in.
Yeah, and it'll be fun.
So that's the whole prep with the yard sale and get everything packed. The only other thing we've been back and forth with a broker in New York, and I think we locked down an apartment. Don't come visit me if you're if you're listening, because when I tell you where it's at, people are going to come. My fans are going to come stalk me. But it's right next to the Daily Show offices where they film the show. So as my fans come to the front of my building to stalk me, I will be stalking Jon Stewart. So it's going to be like a whole full circle thing.
Well, what are you going to do the other 6 days?
Oh, he does just do Mondays, right? I guess I'll have to get a job. That's right. He only does Mondays. So I will be a Jon Stewart. I'll be out on my fire escape with my binoculars looking for Jon Stewart to enter the building. And then I'm going to wave, hi, John. And then he's going to be like, hey, weird guy up on 4th floor. And then he'll scurry into the building.
And then you're going to get...
they know what floor I'm on.
And then you're...
We're going to get knocks on our door at 2 a.m. Chris is going to be so pissed.
They're going to know because they're going to go and they're going to see you sitting outside the whole time and follow you back.
You know what? I like fans and friends. You come on by.
I'll tell you what, Jeremy will accept sausage McMuffins for breakfast. So
I sure will. There's a coffee shop on the first floor.
I'm going to tell you what.
There's a bodega on the corner.
You're not going to want to do this because I'm going to tell you. One of the things I'm going to talk about is the Leah Michelle concert that I went to.
Yeah.
And she would sing a song from Glee, and there were people in the audience that would yell out the episode, the season, the episode number, and the date that song was sung. So you're gonna have some super fan who's gonna be listening, and they're right now they got this Beautiful Mind thing with all the string going, and
they've got Google Maps pulled up. They're like, "This is his building. He's up on the fourth
There's
floor."
a coffee
there he
shop.
is.
So they're gonna look up the Daily Show and all the coffee shops around, and they're gonna like a fourth floor level. Dude, they're going to live in your place before you get there.
You know
what? They're
what?
going to say, you know what, it's empty right now, and squatters' rights mean something in New York.
True. Yeah, well, fool them. I get excited about stalkers, and I stalk them right back. So you're never going to get rid of me.
I see you're stuck, and I raise you. That's exciting. So your this move of yours has precipitated. Precipitated? Is that the word?
Precipitation?
It is
Escalated?
It has made
intensified
my move necessary.
Yes.
So what's happening with us? Because I think I talked that we're putting the house up for sale in St. Pete. So we're selling that because I will need to be in Orlando more. Because you're not just moving to New York, you're quitting your job as the editor.
Here.
And quitting. You're leaving behind your job as editor in chief of Watermark. So we have hired someone. Ryan, who we make fun of all the time on this podcast, is going to be our new editor in chief, and so we've hired sort of a bureau chief for
someone
Central
to come
Florida.
in and do the day-to-day stuff here in Orlando.
And they start in a week, and so I will be here. You're going to be with them for a month, but when you go, then I'll be here to kind of go to events and introduce them to people and that kind of thing, and just be a big part of that. So that's having to happen. So that's when I talk about a big part of my excuse me. I thought I was finished with that off mic. And
I was curious because you turn like this, and then you turn into the mic, and then belched a little bit, and you're like, oh.
That was the tail end of that. I apologize. I did not eat healthy yesterday either, so I apologize for the way that probably smells for y'all. So anyway, a big part of our week was getting the house ready, and I can't believe that we've done this in time because we had an open house. We listed it last Thursday, and then we had an open house on Saturday.
How many days between listing it and then this open house? Because you guys did a lot of work to get it prepared.
We listed it on Thursday, and the open house was on Saturday.
Oh, so you did all that in 2 days?
Well, no, I mean, we did a lot. We did everything to get it listed.
Oh, leading up to the listing.
So what we had to do is we had to get it to a point where Dylan, who, it's lucky for us, he's a photographer and does real estate photography. So he took all the photos of the house, and it looks immaculate. It's gorgeous.
Did he charge you?
Don't listen to this part, Tina. His best friend, Tina, is our realtor.
Yeah.
And I said, well, when it's sold, when you sell a house, send an invoice.
Take it out of that.
But it's just so involved, and it gets really expensive, and things start to add up. Like we had to pay somebody $300 to like really deep clean the house.
You know what I was going to ask you, because obviously when we leave our house at the end of the month, we got a list of things that need to be done. And they sent a list of how much they charge if they have to do something, as opposed to if we do it and show them the receipt we had it done. And one of them is a deep clean, and theirs is like $900 they'll charge us to deep clean.
Yeah, you can get it for $300.
And I'm like, I was going to ask you because I know you had it done. So we're going to have somebody come in and deep clean the house.
Yeah.
And do the carpets and stuff.
And it might be cheaper. It might be cheaper than that too. If you do it like when all your stuff's out, then have them do it. Because like they did all this stuff. They clean. Well, the refrigerator and the microwaves and all that, that's stuff that's still there. So, she cleaned all that stuff. Like, she did a really good job. I don't know. I've been in Orlando. I've not even seen it. So who knows? Like,
did you see Dylan's photos?
Yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Did it look nice?
Well, see, the photos he took were before the deep cleaning.
Oh, I
gotcha. Because we listed it on Thursday, and then on Friday we had 2 showings before the deep clean happened. And one person was like, this place needs to be cleaned.
They're coming, ma'am.
I hope you're listening, and I'm doing your voice. And so, But then the next group came in and they loved it. See, now, I wouldn't say on this podcast to everybody, like, hey, if you're looking to buy a house in St. Pete, you should check it out. Because you might remember, like, for a good 6 months, all I did was complain about the homeless people in the back.
Oh, that's right.
But I want to tell you this about them. And I want to tell you this about all of that, about all the craziness of it all.
How did that happen? How did that turn out?
They're very nice people. They really are. And I mean this truthfully. Every time we see anyone, they all say, hi, neighbor. And they're very, very polite. Now, when we were getting the house ready, the people who have a pop-up tent in their driveway and like an outdoor kitchen and a dining room table and all that set up in the driveway, and they hang out all the time.
How is this house gonna sound?
There was a guy who was Dylan and I were like sort of walking around the house and deciding like if we needed to pressure wash things or what we were gonna do, and you hear somebody going over there. He kept dropping the N-word, and so he was just like, no. How did he say it? He's like, my no N-word brother of mine is gonna put some N-words junk up his butt or something like it was some weird thing, and I just stopped.
Fascinating.
I had never heard anything like that. It somewhere in there he mentioned that he just got out of prison. I don't know.
Oh,
and but he doesn't live there. He's just visiting his children. So
in the driveway.
So yeah.
All right.
Well, with
right.
where the dining room, that's where the family
No,
gathers.
Judge, if we don't get this apartment, I'll be living in a similar situation.
So and I just stopped. I looked at Dylan. I was like, is he saying that because we're out here? Like, are we being gay bashed right now in our front yard? Like, this can't be real. So anyway, the house is lovely, and I'm excited.
It's a beautiful house.
I really, it looks so good right now, and I mean, almost to the point where it's like, well, maybe we can make this more room. But
it's so pretty and
hopefully
clean. I don't want to sell it.
And it's so important that it sells and that it sells fast because I have a whole plan, and I need this plan to happen. Although my sponsor would tell me, life on life's terms. He's not listening. That's not what he sounds like either.
I was going to say, is your sponsor Capote? You
gotta accept life on life's terms, Rick. You can't control everybody. So that's happening. Oh, but I'm excited to say that there was an open house. Everybody that's come by, except for the one person that said you should clean it, they love it.
Oh, good. So it'll sell fast.
Hopefully it will. Yeah. I mean, there's always I love it. If it were on any other street, then we would buy it right up. No, but somebody's going to come by, and it's not going to. It didn't bother us. We don't care. I mean, they're really nice people, and like everybody around, and so. It's not uncomfortable or hateful to be there. Where Ryan lives on MAGA Street, and there are hateful flags.
Is that the actual name of the street? No. Is that what he has to write on envelopes when he mails letters?
That's actually what they're changing the name of Sesame Street to, so that they can continue to do it. Oh, that's a Fringe show I would watch. I would watch MAGA Street, the puppet show about hate. Wouldn't that
They're going to shave Elmo and turn him into a MAGA hat.
Right. Like, the trash can comes off and it's like,
Donald Trump.
What's that? Oh, my God. Speaking of MAGA stuff, I love that he has nominated that lady.
Janine Shapiro? Is that her name?
I love it because that means we get to see Cecily Strong do impressions of her on Saturday Night Live, and I love this. So anyway, so that was a big part of it. But I just want to give a shout out real quick to George Wallace and the team at the center because there was a fundraiser last Tuesday night that it's Celebrity Bartender, and I was one of the. I always laugh in this Celebrity Bartender. That's me.
You were part of the media hour.
I was part of the media hour with Nancy Alvarez,
Chad Pitt, and Sabrina Embra.
And they're all real famous.
Two from the radio, one from TV, one from print media.
They were famous, so they were at the big
main
bar.
Yeah.
I was at the next door thing, which is really cool. The guy who was helping me, he was hilarious. We had a really good time. It was so much fun. I really honestly didn't think it was going to be that much fun. And it was a lot of fun. I really had a good time doing it. I could do that. I could bartend.
Yeah.
That's fun. And for me...
I mean, honestly, people in your situation are probably the best bartenders because they're not going to sneak the supply.
Right. Or I'm not going to overpour. Because
Fingers crossed they don't.
I'm going to say this because, like, I was pouring it and I was like, you should be able to taste this drink, not just the alcohol. So I was doing it okay. Although,
that's good.
I'll tell you this, the first time I was pouring the drink, I was like, you're just going to tell me where to stop. He decided to tell me by kicking me, but he didn't tell me that that's what the signal was. So I thought he was kicking me to say, keep going. And then afterwards, like, I'm sorry I kicked you. And I was like, is that supposed to tell me to stop or keep going? Anyway, that person got wasted. So then there was this kid.
I knew a guy when he kicked me, that meant kept going.
I was trying to think of an on Swift Horses joke to go along with that. But there was this couple that was there, and they were friends with Danny. And they came back to get their second drink, and one guy had like a third of his glass that was still, it was a third of glass full, and he ordered the guy like another Jack and Coke, and I made it, and the kid picked up the glass and threw it on there and like vigorously sucked down the drink. And,
wow.
And I just started laughing, and I looked at the bartender, I was like, I remember those days. Like, don't take it. It was funny because all I could see was like my past and how much of an alcoholic I was.
Yeah.
And it was cracking me up. And I was really appreciating the fact that I'm sober. So that was fun. So
Nice.
shout out. I did okay with the fundraisings. You know, being on the side bar and, you know, getting
it's
like
tough 'cause
$285.
everybody's in the main
I think
bar.
I did all right. So that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I saw that the whole event raised over $11,000.
Yeah,
That's great.
Their goal was 10 and it made
Yeah.
like 11.5. So that was really cool. I do want to point out, because I thought this was funny when you were talking as this popped up to me, and Caitlin, I don't know if you're aware of this. So we've been having major email issues, and I don't know if everybody's going through this, but it really sucks. And when you've got a business that works 90% out of email, and then your emails, they were showing up in people's inboxes and then disappearing, and they were all clients and all stuff that we needed information on. So it's a big mess. So our IT team put together like, oh, you're all going to be on this new system, and it's going to be really secure and protective, and nobody knew how to use it, and it was making everybody crazy. So we had a big meeting with all of us, and he put us all up there, and he decided to use me as an example of how to look up emails. And I don't know if you got this, Caitlin, but he goes into my emails that have been jailed, and there's only one right there at the top. It's Bella Me Online, which is what is it, like
exotic videos?
It's porn, but it's from where? It's from like
Czechoslovakia.
Yeah,
or something.
something
It's
like that.
Eastern European.
Yeah, it's Eastern European porn.
Twink boys.
And it's like in jail. And I was sitting there like, and I tried not to react, but I looked around at everybody and you could tell the gay men because Jeremy, Ryan, and Danny were all laughing and Dylan was laughing. My husband was on the call. And I'm like, dude, what are you doing to me? And I just didn't react. I'm like, you know what? The only two people that I would be embarrassed to know this probably don't even know what that is. But I did keep saying in my mind, I was like, don't open it. Don't open it. Because after the call, I went and opened it just to see what it would be if he had opened it. And that would have been fired. Oh, I would have had to have fired myself.
I know how you feel because there's a website that keeps popping up on my Facebook feed. It's called Gatey, and I'm guessing they keep recommending me to read their articles because obviously, you know, being queer media, we see a lot of queer stuff. And Gatey has nude photos on their site. So I realized this when I clicked on a story that seemed interesting, and this is Caitlin was in the office, and it comes up, and there's just a naked boy right there on my screen, and I went, and I turned to look at Caitlin, and she's got her headphones on, and she's working. I was like, oh God! It's like I don't need to have that talk as to why I've got naked men on my computer screen.
What was the headline that seemed interesting? Hot naked boys.
Not exactly, but it did allude to it was some sort of new intimate art book that was coming out with photos, and I was like, I wonder what kind of photos.
Exactly those kind. Save for later.
That's what I do with Gatey now. I'm like, oh, we're gonna send that link to my private email for tomorrow.
All right. So I went then Thursday night. I went to see Leah Michelle at Hard Rock Live. I don't know if you're a fan. I guess you're not a fan. I'm gonna guess that Caitlin's not a fan.
Neither here or there. I mean, I don't dislike her. I've seen her in some good stuff. She's got a good voice.
I want to say I was a big Glee fan.
You were Gleek.
I was a gleek. We used to like I would go to people's house and we'd all watch it together. It was I wouldn't call them a watch party, but it was a watch party.
I watched the first season. I thought it was pretty good.
I watched every one of them. I was a big fan of it. I thought like once the original cast kind of cycled out and they had the new cast, it got kind of lame. But then when they all went to New York towards the end, I don't know if you know this, but they pulled a Jeremy, and it was really interesting, and I liked it.
Did it work out for them?
Well, I mean, that's the whole thing. This is the whole story of Leah Michelle's life. Is that she was doing it on her life ended up mimicking her life on Glee in a way, and that she ended up being in Funny Girl on Broadway. And in the show, it was all about her trying to get to New York to be in Funny Girl, which was a real long life dream of hers.
Well, it makes me happy that it worked out for them.
I found her to be interesting. I don't know. I wasn't on set. I don't know all the drama of all of the stuff, and I try not to overwhelm myself because I'm not somebody who cares so much about the personal details of actors and entertainers and singers and all that.
Sure.
If I like a show, I like a show. But I love her voice, and I didn't get to see her in Funny Girl, so I wanted to see this so bad because I'm like, maybe she'll sing,
Funny Girl songs.
Don't Rain on My Parade or whatever. And she opened with that. And it was great. And I heard it, and I was like, okay,
go but down after that.
Okay, we're good. So then and then she tells some stories. She's kind of funny, and the things I didn't know about her is that she's been on Broadway since she was 8 years old.
Yeah,
she was in Les Mis. She was Cosette. But this is a funny story, I thought. So apparently, like her best friend and her used to, do all of I think her name was Chloe. Chloe, if you're listening, I want to know what you're doing right now. Like, what are you doing with your life right now? Because I'm so curious about this. So Chloe, I haven't had Red Bull in a while. I keep burping. So Chloe was going to audition for Les Mis because they had an open call for Les Mis, and she was going to go. Her father was going to take her, and he got sick or something, and he couldn't make it. So Chloe's mom called Leah's mom and said, "Hey, can you take her to this audition? We can't take her." And she's like, "That's fine." So she says, "Hey, Leah, we're taking your best friend to audition for Les Mis. Why don't you come along?" And then Leah's like, fuck it, I'll audition too. And she ended up 2 weeks later, she was on Broadway as Cosette.
She's been fucking over her co-star since 8 years old.
That's why I was like, Jen and I looked at each other and was like, ooh, I wonder what Chloe's up to. And she's like, they're not friends anymore. So I'm really curious about that. But then she did that, and she went on to, some other show. Like when 2 years later, she was in a different show, and then she was in another show when she was 14. Or that's when she started Spring Awakenings, when she was 14 and did that for 3 years.
She was 14?
Well, she was 14 when they started workshopping it. And then she ended 17 when it finally got on Broadway, I think, something like that. Anyway, all very interesting stuff. But then she did her life in Broadway shows, and then she did a whole section on Glee, which was kind of cool. So there were a lot of Gleeks out there, and she yelled.
Did she sing Poker Face?
She would say like, "What's your favorite song from Glee?" And somebody would yell it out, and then she'd sing a little bit of it with the audience, and it was really fun and personable and all that kind of stuff. But then she said that she sang 800 songs on Glee in her time there. And she said, I never got to pick one. And she goes, except for one song they let me pick. And immediately I got chills, right? Because I loved this show. And my favorite episode is The Quarterback. Now, that's the show that they did after Corey Monteith had died. Yeah. And she was dating him in real life. And she gets up there and she sings To Make You Feel My Love, which is an amazing song. And she sang it really well. That was what she did in the show. And she said that's the only song that they let her pick. And so she wanted to close out the Glee section by singing that song. So I noticed this early on in some other songs she was singing that, like, it's so great when you're in an audience and somebody can do this, but she was singing and you couldn't hear anything except her voice. Like, no one was coughing, no one was rustling in their seats or talking. Everybody was just silent and watching her. And I was like, ooh, this is going to be good because this is what's going to happen. So she starts to sing the song. And as soon as she starts to sing, there was this beast next to me. Now, she wasn't a beast from like the nips up or from like the thigh down. She was just a beast
in the middle,
from belly to hip. So, and they pack people in those seats when you get in a venue like that. So she's basically she was resting her hip on my hip, so much so that I looked at Jen and I said, "She dip, I dip, we dip." Because she was sitting on me practically, which means I had to sit on Jen to try to get away from him. So this is all going on. She starts to sing To Make You Feel My Love. You hear the piano, and that's all it was just her and a piano the whole time. It was beautiful. And I'm like, ooh, this is so good. This is a song I'm here to hear, and I'm so excited about this. And then next to me, you hear the beast go, me, 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 me. It goes on for like 15 seconds or longer. I don't know. And I was like, she was sneezing.
Oh, is that what that was?
That's what that was. She was sneezing. And then I look over and Jen's leaned forward and she's looking at this woman like what the, like Jen had this complete look of confusion and disgust on her face while this was happening. So that made me laugh. But you ever get the giggles in church or something, and so
not Caitlin.
I was.
She doesn't go to church.
So we started laughing. So we're sitting there and like we're trying to be respectful. It's like this silence and it's slow. So we're just containing it all, but we're laughing and our bodies are shaking, right? So we're sitting there and we're both shaking, and the more I laugh and shake, the more she laughs and shakes, but we're not making a sound. We're just shaking, and tears are pouring down our face because we're laughing so hard. And then we start to realize that people around us probably think we're crying and that we're so emotionally wrapped up into this thing, which made us laugh harder and harder. And then at one point, she hit some note and people started clapping. And when they started clapping, Jen looks over at me and she goes, it sounded like she was wailing in tears.
Good
and like,
Lord.
So much so that the people we brought with us were like trying to hug her, and she kept going. She had tears coming down her face, and she's like, I'm not crying. She couldn't get it out. So what sucks about that is that the rest of the show was like we go through periods where one of us would calm down and then the other would start thinking about it and then start shaking, and we'd shake the other one, and then it went on for like 3 songs. I almost had to get up and leave. I was like, I can't do it. What a great show, though.
Yeah.
She was really good.
Nice. I hear she puts on a good show.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also hear she can't read, but I don't know if that's true or not.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to doubt that.
All right.
I'm going to doubt that that's true.
All right, if you say so. She I don't know if you watch TikTok
Chloe,
a lot.
give us a call.
But
Let us
she,
know. Can she read or not?
She did a podcast with some gay podcaster, and they brought it up. And she said, of course she knows how to read. She took his cards out of his hand and started reading it. And all the comments are like, he prepped her before she knew what was on the cards. But she was told the story of how she found out about the rumor. And Ryan Murphy called her because she hadn't seen anything about it. And he goes, have you heard the latest rumor going around about you? And she's like, no, what's going on? And he's like, people don't think you know how to read. And she's like, what the fuck are you talking about? And yeah, he called her and he's like, people say you can't read. So I just thought you should know.
I would go into all those comments and be like, I can read that, loser. Anyway.
Please, I'm sure Kirk's reading them to you.
So that was it. Anyway, I had a great time. I loved the show. And then, yesterday was Mother's Day, so we had a nice little Mother's Day.
Very nice.
I decided not to. I thought, wouldn't it be cheaper? Because we would spend a lot of money on groceries, and I spend all day cooking. Wouldn't it be easier if we just bought food from Olive Garden? I will let you know that it wasn't cheaper.
No. Yeah, well.
Ooh, but I did do this. I finally nailed that recipe for the copycat of Mary O's Irish scones.
Yeah.
Oh, they were just like they are in New York.
Oh, very nice.
Which I will try in 2 days because I'm going back there tomorrow.
Yes, you are.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, we're going to be spending a lot of time in New York.
Yeah, so then
Back and forth.
So then we saw Fringe shows.
Yes.
Right? So we did see 4 of them.
Fringe, it's in the media previews now. Fringe officially starts, if you're listening to this as soon as it's uploaded, fingers crossed, on Monday night. Ribbon cutting is Tuesday, May 13th, and then the festival goes on from May 13th to May 26th. So they're in media previews right now.
Yeah.
So we saw a couple of the media previews.
So the first thing we saw was The Last Bear, and I wrote down this little blurb that they have, that it's from the writer of The Wild Milk at the Renaissance Theater Company comes a new, dark, campy, satirical comedy about the last polar bear left and what remains of the Arctic and the big fat hunt for it. Average lesbians Paige and Val arrive on the scene and quickly find themselves surrounded by bloodthirsty hunters left and right, such as the self-serving politician Oslo Anderson. Is that like a famous person? Oh, yeah. He's a real person.
Oslo Anderson?
Yeah.
Is he?
Oh, I thought so. Anyway, to make matters worse, the entire event is being broadcast by the nefarious Travesty News and its cunning host, Jenna J., while struggling with her own moral holdups, psychotic competitors, and the rising threat of fascism. All that goes together. Paige and Val must try their best to survive and do what's right by the bear, no matter what.
Yes. I jotted down, not from the website, but really quick before we came in here, what I remembered from the show as synopsis of mine is Fox News-like host covers hunt of last living polar bear, pair of lesbians, closeted conservative, and an actor who plays a lot of different characters fight to kill the bear.
Yeah, there you go. So what I said.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I said. Now, here's the thing about Fringe this year. For those who are Fringe fans, there's always some kind of thing that, you see a lot of shows that are similar and have similar themes. I just want to say, like, every show is likely, like 70% of the shows.
So far, they're
very much like angry artists that are going to use their talents to
using their platforms to lash out at MAGA culture and its leaders.
And it's all over these shows.
Yes.
You know what? Out of 5 grapes, I might give this one 3. Comparatively
I think
speaking.
3's good. Yeah, 3's good. It's I don't know if they're, because typically the shows that are played at the Renaissance Theater are a lot of your usual Renaissance players who do the shows there. I don't know if that is what this group is, but they do have a very Renaissance Theater feel to them. It's very kitschy. It's very bonkers kind of humor.
Yeah. And I think that the thing about media previews is that they're kind of like within the last days of their rehearsals.
Yeah, so they're still workshopping it.
Yeah, there were times where people were grasping for lines, and I think that they're just trying to get them out. But I think when you look at the woman that plays the host of the talk show,
Fox News host,
she nailed that character.
Yes,
like it's very two-dimensional, but she nailed it.
Did you see Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, the one with Johnny Depp? Mm-mm. Oh, she reminds me of the Blueberry Girl's mom. Mm. Yeah, she's very kind of.
I can see how that might be.
Be like, I'm amazing.
Yeah, so that was, and it had a coherent storyline.
Yeah,
and all that. Some things are gonna tweak, but yeah, all in all,
good looking cast. Guys are pretty cute in it. Yeah, no nudity. So, if that's your thing. We saw 4 shows. 1, 2, 3, 4. And only one of them had nudity. I am the type of person who likes to seek out all the shows that have nudity and see them.
Well,
if you're that kind,
you hit the mother load.
We found one.
So then we saw the Rocky Horror Improv Show.
Yes, Rocky Horror Improv Show.
So this is presented by the Rich Weirdos, which have been doing Rocky Horror around Orlando for decades. It's like there's a big group, and they also march in the Pride Parade and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, nice.
So there is, but the shtick of this is that I don't think I have to read much of a description. It's the Rocky Horror Show. Okay.
Group of actors lip sync to Rocky Horror songs while telling the story of a different movie. Apparently, the host and the movie will change each show.
Yeah, I don't know if the movie's gonna. But the way they tell the story is gonna change each show, and so it's improv. So whoever's the narrator of the show can say at any time, "Hey, this is what's going on," and then they have to improv what's going on.
Yes.
And the shtick of this show that we saw is that the person hosting said, "I never really saw. I saw Rocky Horror once a long time ago, and I don't know it well enough. So I'm gonna tell the story of Titanic because I know that movie, and you're just gonna." Use the characters.
You're going to use the Rocky Horror characters and songs in Titanic.
Yeah. And so it was interesting.
Yes. Here's the crux of this show. And with it being improv, it'll be a different show each time. So I think that, you might get a hit the mother load with one when they're on a good night, and you might stink up the joint if it's a bad night. They are a Rocky Horror group. I don't know if they are an improv group, so the improv is a little off.
Well, it took me a second to remember this, but I think what they do most of the time is they lip sync what's happening on a screen.
Yeah.
And so when you're not doing that, you kind of got to be. You got to come up with some words.
Yeah.
And I'll just say, like, there were times where the host would say, all right, now do this or talk about this. Like, here's an example. This kind of, part of this is true and part of it is not, but it's like this. Like they said, okay, now this person gives the greatest speech, the greatest toast that they've ever given and it's ever been told ever. And they're like, okay. So then the person picks up a glass and goes, cheers. And that is the greatest toast ever given. And then they were like, what? I don't know what else to say. So it didn't work. It didn't work for me.
No, not this version.
No. And I so anybody who sees other versions, if you want to write in or you want to call me and talk to me and say, I saw this one and it was really good, that'd be great. Because I guarantee you, I will not see any of the other versions.
I will say that I am going to officially give it an award right now. I have been going to Fringe shows for years. Years. At least 10 years.
I just want to say I've been going to Fringe shows for at least 23 years. Maybe even more. Because before I worked at Watermark, I had friends who did Fringe shows.
Yeah. So I don't know if this will apply to you because you've gone to double the amount of shows I
feel like
have.
we've talked about this, and I might actually be willing to give the same award.
Of all the shows I have seen, no show has made me more uncomfortable sitting in the audience ever. I felt, what is it, where you feel the cringiness, secondhand embarrassment and cringiness, and my body kept trying to force me to stand up and walk out. It was too much for me.
I want to say this. There was a person who was in the show who starts the show off and lip syncs. At first, I don't know why beautiful. I thought they were going to sing for real. But but it starts off and they're lip syncing, and it took me a second. And I was like, oh, that's right. This is what they do. But she was fantastic. And I saw she did this burlesque number. She had command of the stage. She knew where she was moving. She knew her body. She moved her body. And usually I stay away from burlesque stuff. But this was highly entertaining.
Yeah, it was a good opening.
Great. And I was like, this is going to be good. And the very next song, two lyrics into it, I don't even know, like 4 words. And I was like, oh my God. How do I get out of here? Like trapped. Like I don't know what to do. And I hate to talk like this because I really hate it when people give scathing reviews of something. But I just thought there is no escape.
Yeah, I think one of the big issues, and this would help if they weren't lip sync, if they were actually singing and were really good improvers, is the songs don't go with the story.
Right.
So if you can think on your feet and you're singing live and you can change the lyrics to fit the story, I think you've got a winning show. But the fact that you're lip syncing where Janet and Brad are playing Rose and her fiance, and they're singing about how they're in love and getting married, when you know, if you see Titanic, Rose is not in love with him.
Right.
It doesn't fit.
Right. And then when and Frankenfurter was Rose's mom and comes out and does Sweet Transvestite.
Yeah.
Why?
But she's not a transvestite.
Right.
Or transgender. We don't say transvestite anymore.
Right.
But I guess it does for the song. But yeah, the songs don't fit the story. So if you're singing live and you're an improv artist who can think on their feet and change lyrics, then I think that would be a hilarious show.
Yeah. It almost seemed as if nobody told them they'd have to do improv.
It was almost like the improv of it was, we're not going to tell the actors it's improv.
Yeah, because their shock when they said you're going to do this to Titanic was genuine.
Yeah. Yeah, which makes me think that it's going to be a different movie each time.
Or it was the one moment that they
where
acted.
They were all just great actors.
Really great actors. I hate to say this, but I cannot. I know that there are some people who, when they go to Fringe, they try to identify like the most painful show to watch, and then they tell everybody, and everybody goes to it.
You remember a few years ago?
Contender.
You remember a few years ago that Rabbit show?
Yes.
This was cringier than the Rabbit show.
Yeah, and the Rabbit show was because
I hate to say this now.
the Rabbit show was made to be that way.
Was it?
But it was cringy, but it had a gimmick that was supposed to be cringy. Like, it was about cartoon rabbits having orgies. Like, it was supposed to be that.
Yeah, but it was like, I don't know. There was something about that show that they didn't lean into it. It was just very, and there were all older people. Ugh.
Oh my God, I hope you're not listening. I hope no one involved in Fringe is listening to the segment. Shall we move on? I mean,
Yes.
I think we don't even have to grape that one. I think we know.
I think we've beaten that dead horse.
There were no grapes on the shelf.
No. Grapes were affected by the tariffs. There are no grapes. The next one was Your Camp, Mein Camp. Camp, Mein Camp, a political musical satire.
Yeah, so this is in 2027, MAGA assigns enemies of the state to internment facilities and children to special programs. It's the patriotic youth annexes operated behind a paper-thin guise of fireside fun. Basically, it's Hitler's youth.
You want me to read mine?
Yes.
A conversion camp run by Elon Musk with converted camp counselors are teaching children who are having experiments done on them by Musk as he prepares to send them to Mars.
Yeah.
That's it. I am going to say this, and then I'm going to tell a really quick story. Of all the shows I saw, this one was the best one. Now, I often, when I say things like that, I think back to when I was a kid. I used to watch Siskel and Ebert all the time. And one episode, Siskel and Ebert were talking about Free Willy 3. If you're unfamiliar, Free Willy is a movie about a little boy who frees a whale from like a SeaWorld type theme
Is it
park.
the best of all the Willies?
He says, he even says in the review, he goes, this is the best of the Free Willy movies, but that ain't saying much. But I guarantee you, when you see a poster for this movie, slapped on it's going to say, Roger Ebert says this is the best Free Willy movie ever. And sure enough, when I went to the theater, right on the fucking poster was best of the Free Willy movies, Roger Ebert.
That's funny.
So I will say that with that story in mind, this was the best show I've seen so far at Fringe. Oh, I just hit my camera.
I do that all the time. So, this was the one where they really hammer in.
Yeah, this
is
very
the
much,
social justice warrior show.
MAGA's fucking up the world, and you all need to open your eyes.
Right, and you're not doing enough, and you're complicit in all of this, and it's too late.
Yeah. Now I will say, just like all the other shows we saw, well, not all of them, 3 of them. The opening was the best part of the show for me.
Yeah.
Because they do musicals, Broadway songs, but like I think would work for the Rocky Horror one, they rewrite the lyrics to make it a parody song that fits into the story.
Yeah.
And they do a parody song of the opening to Hamilton, which was great. I thought that was a great song.
Yeah. Actually, when I first heard it.
Do you want to elaborate?
When I first...
You're like,
when I first heard it, I was concerned it was going to be a total Hamilton ripoff.
Yeah.
But
it's different.
It was
different
different
from
shows.
musicals.
Yeah, and they could sing. They got good voices. It had a coherent storyline.
Yeah.
So I had all those things.
Yeah.
One thing I'm impressed of.
Puppets.
There was a I guess an actor in the show couldn't get into the country, so they had to cast somebody local real fast and learn it within, they had 2 weeks to learn the show.
Well, that really speaks to their talent because there's 4 members of the cast. I couldn't tell you which one was just brought in because...
Are you just being nice?
A little bit. Why you gotta call me out like that?
I immediately guessed.
We've shit on a lot of these shows. I'm trying to be nice to someone.
No. But having said that, they did a really good job.
Yeah.
I think.
Do you know which one it was? Did you find out or?
No, I just guessed.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I think you don't need to say it out loud.
No.
But I think we all know.
Yeah.
It was the puppet. No, I'm just kidding.
It was
They had to find a local puppet.
What a new puppet.
So anyway, I don't know. I'll give that 3.
Yeah, that's probably a solid 3. Yeah. The guy who plays Elon Musk was very musky. I know. The cameras are on. The cameras are on.
Oh shit! Well, you were talking, so they weren't
No,
on me.
but he's very awkward and kind of cringy, but so is Elon Musk.
Yeah.
So I think that was the character, and he was nailing it.
Yeah.
And at one point, he does the jump up thing, and his shirt came up a little bit, just like Elon Musk. Cracked me up. I don't know if you noticed, I was doing the little chuckle thing, because when he jumped up and his shirt came up a little bit, I was like, just like the photo.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good one. There's a monologue in it. It's a little preachy, but other than that, it was pretty good. I felt like I was getting lectured.
Yeah, there was definitely a monologue in there that was like, you made this
Do
happen.
better. You made him our president.
Yeah.
He's like, I didn't.
So we saw that, and then today we saw, and then we saw shedding.
And then there's Maud.
Yeah, and then I feel like I should really. I always say I should research these more. Shedding skin.
Yes.
So we go to see this. I just go see these shows because they say they're LGBTQ, and we talk about it on the podcast. So let's just go see them.
Yeah.
And then we get there and we sit down, and it's in a very small, intimate. Keyword intimate setting.
For those who Fringe, it's in the Blue venue, so it's a much smaller, more intimate venue.
And I was like, Jeremy, what's this one about? And so he reads the thing to me, and it's a one person show.
Yeah, it's a one-person show, and the entire synopsis. So, like, if you look on the website or in the official Orlando Fringe guide, brought to you by Wanna Mark Out News, there's synopsis for each of the show. The synopsis for this one is past reviews, like clips, which I'm sure were pulled just like Roger Ebert's were. Because it's like life-changing. This meditation on life made me realize the person I am.
What if it said life-changing, ... I'll never go to a Fringe show again. And they're like, they said it's life-changing. Here's what the description says.
Yeah.
A healing exploration ritual of transformation and growth, a moving meditation on change.
Yes.
And
here's what I saw. Or go ahead. Yeah, say something.
And I was just gonna say that it's. Then you read the categories, and then one of the categories was dance, and then it all started coming together in my mind as to what I was about to watch.
Yeah.
And you said nudity, and I was like, okay.
I wrote down a one-person show where the person comes out, dances, and strips off flesh-colored bodysuit, her skin, to reveal her naked body, dances for 45 minutes.
Yeah. So here's the gist. It's about shedding your skin and moving forward in life, and
That's the name of the show.
And in order to move forward, you have to leave something behind, and it's just sort of about this whole thing and the struggles, and you could really see it all.
Literally, as Rick would say, this is a tits out kind of show.
I hate to say it like this, and because it's so degrading. I think I shouldn't say it.
No,
it's like yeah.
I'm
not gonna say from tits to meat sheets. It's the whole thing. No, it's a very degrading way to say it.
Now we don't sit in the front row of shows because you are terrified of audience participation, and you never know with a Fringe show whether there's going to be. So we always sit towards the back.
And this time we maybe sit on an aisle, and I was like, if they come up that aisle,
yeah. So there was a lady right up front on the first row, and after the performer had stripped all of her skin off and she's completely naked, she stood in front of this lady, and she kept doing like these yoga type moves throughout it, and she leaned over and stood on one leg and put one leg up so that her hoo-ha was just right there in the lady's face, and she just stood there for a few minutes, and I was like, she's been dancing around for 40 minutes at this point. She might be sweaty.
I hope she uses, what is that?
That
Lumi?
deodorant.
I hope she uses
yeah.
Lumi. So here's the thing, right? Like it's 25 minutes of her dancing around,
stripping her skin off
so she gets completely naked. In the last 20 minutes,
she comes out with a box.
Well, she has
she sets it down
somewhere
in the
to
middle.
put her skin in when she's all
and
said
at the
and
end,
done.
she opens the box and she collects her skin and sticks it in the box.
But it's 20 minutes of her like dancing around completely naked. I mean, you got high kicks, bend overs, all kinds of stuff happening.
We got to the point where she stripped all her skin off, and I keep my phone in my lap just to, time it, make sure they're staying on time. And I look down, and there's still 20 minutes left to show, and I'm in my head, I'm like, your skin's all off. What the fuck are you going to do for 20 minutes?
Yeah.
And she danced for 20 minutes.
Now the lights were really dim.
For 20 minutes, she danced.
You deserve better.
Y'all don't know this, but I put a little wine in my cup too. Now it was a little dark in there, so you couldn't tell. It almost the shadows created made me think that
Don't get artsy with this
that we were
now.
watching a 60-year-old woman do this.
Oh yeah, she did.
And I
with
don't
the
think she's-
lighting, she looked older than when
When the lights came
the
up
lights
a
came
little,
up.
or when she, there was one moment. You know, it's not often when I think about staring at naked women that I think of Jeremy. But I often
You and me first.
But I did because there is a moment, and I shit you not. I mean, talk about Jeremy's nightmare. There's a moment when she first takes off all of her clothes, she's completely naked, and she walks right up to the audience, right up to all of us. I
There's
know,
what would you say? There's 15, 20 people in the audience.
Maybe, yeah, and we're only like 4 or 5 rows back. Maybe
Yeah.
it's very intimate. So
Very small theater.
She can see everyone's face. She goes up, and it's on. There's an audience in front, an audience on the side. She goes up to every single audience member
and makes eye contact with every member.
And you see it start over there, and I was
and
like,
I saw her coming. I was like,
I was like,
Jesus
she's
Christ.
gonna look at Jeremy.
She's coming right at us.
She's gonna get so uncomfortable. So there she is, just like looking, like saying, like, "Yep, this is it. Look at me.
Look at me.
Holy crap!"
Anyway, so that we saw that at 12 o'clock this afternoon
On an empty
a Monday. I had to look at tits, bare tits, at 12 o'clock on a Monday afternoon.
The things that you do. This is why you quit your job.
I just can't. My heart can't handle this job anymore.
But I mean, for the podcast, you still have to do things like this. So
That's
anyway,
true.
it was.
Am I gonna have to look at bare Broadway tits at 12 o'clock on a Monday?
I just wanted to say
Good Lord.
that I don't think that
Sorry for whoever's watching the video.
that if it had been, if there had been male body parts flinging around, I don't think it would have been any better. I think I would have been just as weirdly uncomfortable.
You and I differ on this. I think if it was male body parts, I'd probably be more into it.
Now think about the whole thing.
If
type.
Tom Daly
Right,
was
but that's
doing
not,
this show.
But it's not like, it wasn't Giselle out there doing it in this show.
No, that's what I'm saying. I
So,
think the show depends on who's doing
the
it.
equivalent. Let's think of the male equivalent, like Jonah Hill.
No. She's better than Jonah Hill. She's
Okay.
Did he?
Yes.
But didn't he put it all back
that's
on?
my point.
She did. She had the body of somebody who looks like she'd lost a lot of weight.
And
Which
no,
more
I
power.
don't want-
Maybe that's why she did this show.
Look,
and more power to her.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, no, because I'm going to say something at the end of all of this, joking around about
Yeah.
it. But like, I'm trying to think of like the equivalent of somebody who might. But I don't know.
Seth Rogen.
Or what about Chris Pratt when he was in The Office?
Yeah, he's a little more fluffier than what she is, but yeah. Same kind of thing.
Same kind of thing. Because she's very pretty.
She's a very attractive woman.
Yes.
I'm not into women,
Right.
but if I was, I
But I want to say this because
I'd like
we're
it.
joke about it. A one woman show with an interpretive dance, not
yeah,
a word
we should
spoken the
probably
whole
say,
time.
and I don't know
It's
your
not our
thought
thing.
on it. I was going to say interpretive dance isn't our bag. So,
Right. So-
if it is your bag, this probably is a transcending
right.
show.
And it really is.
Oh yeah, he has lost a lot.
It
of weight.
really is that. Like, it is exactly what it says. It's about this whole thing. And one thing that she does super well is she tells that story. You know exactly what this is about by watching it. You don't have to guess like with other shows that we.
That's the other thing that made me uncomfortable is because it's just music. It's like
Like you're getting a massage.
it's almost ASMR like because
Yeah.
she's got little bells on her ankles, like these little ankle bracelet things that are bells, and it's all slow movements, and it's just sliding of her feet on the ground and the jingling of the bells and the music. And then as she's stripping her skin off, it's like quiet and it's just light music, and she's like, ah! And I'm like, oh, please stop.
I think our neighbors are probably calling the police.
The noises as she's
something
ripping
like,
the skin off
earlier
was-
and now.
as she's ripping her
filming
skin
Jurassic
off
Park
just
in
makes
here.
me a little too. The noises were making me uncomfortable. But
Yeah.
when you're ripping your skin off, it.
It's but hats off to her. All clothes off to her.
I will say, I do not have the courage to do what she did.
Not at all.
That alone, you should go see this show.
I wouldn't get on that stage and
I'm
take
not
off
gonna
my
go see it
shirt.
again, but
I wouldn't
yeah.
show you my tits, much less everything else. So I think she's very good at what she does.
Yes,
and
yes.
that people will be moved by this, and that
Very brave.
and very brave. And we joke around about stuff, and we're honestly just joking around. But you did a great job.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was fantastic. I mean, you're Camp Mein Comp, but you're almost there.
Yeah.
No, just kidding.
What makes me the most
You're
nervous?
not Elon Musk, but you'll get there.
When I go see a Fringe show, what makes me the most nervous is watching people like aimlessly walk around stage and not know where they're going.
Yeah.
And she is complete command of
and
the
I
stage.
gotta say, for Fringe across the board, I mean, when you see something like The Last Bear or Rocky Horror Mein Camp, they're ensemble pieces. So you're up there with other people, and if you bomb, you're all bombing. But when you do a one-person show, it's all you. If it's a bad show, it's all you. If you fuck up, it's all you.
Yeah.
So it takes a lot of balls.
Yeah. Well, and
To
I'll
get
go
up there
so
and
far
do
as to
something
say
like
that
that.
this is not a bad show.
No.
This is
It's
just
just
whether or not
my
it's
type of
right.
show.
It's whether it's your type of show or not is the only subjective factor here.
Do you know what
She's
I kept
good.
thinking? The entire show, and I'm not sure this is the thought you're supposed to take away, is, damn, she's getting $15 a pop, and she gets to walk away with all the money herself.
Yeah.
Because there's no other people on stage. So I'm like, you get up there and you dance around for 45 minutes, and you're probably going to walk around with a couple of $1,000 at the end of this.
And there's not like a writer,
No.
I mean,
I
there's no
imagine
words.
she's the writer or
Right.
the interpreter.
Right.
But all I kept thinking was, shit, I should have
It
done
is a
something
small
like
theater,
this.
though.
Yeah.
I think about that when I would think about like the shows that Doug Bowser would do, where he was Joan
Well, Doug
Collins,
used
and
to
I was
post
like,
up that
I was like, yeah, he's
Fringe was what got him to travel during the summer.
Yeah.
Whatever money he made for Fringe. But you figure if 20 people go and see each show, she's still making $300 a show.
right, and she gets 5 shows, $1,500.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's not bad for 2 weeks worth of work, a week's worth of work.
You're doing good work.
2 weeks. Well, I guess that's around what I make for 2 weeks, somewhere in there.
All right,
I guess that's. But she only also works at 45 minutes at a time. I work 46 minutes at a time.
she's been honing that craft her whole life.
So Fringe, like I said, going on through the 26th. Go to the website, pick up out and about. If you're out and about in Orlando, pick up one of the Fringe programs and go see a show. I
see
mean,
a bunch.
particularly right now, the way and what I learned from these shows, theater is being attacked right now in Florida. So you need to go out, you need to support these people, and you need to keep theater alive, or you just won't have it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's all I have to say about
That's
that.
all I got to say about that.
So then so what we're covering, and let's please try to do this in 15 minutes or less. We went to go see, we did this a long time ago, so we probably don't have much to say about it because I don't remember a lot of it. I did make notes.
I did make notes, but we were in a theater. Oh, good Lord.
Oh, shit.
We were in a theater, so
Jeremy
they were.
just vigorously poured another big glass of wine.
Let me wipe that up. There we go.
That's good. Now when you get pulled over, you'll smell like wine. And
I'll be sober by then.
depends on how much. You still got to drink it. Anyway, so we went to
We
go
went and
see.
saw On Swift Horses.
Yes.
Yes.
For those who, if you don't know anything about it, just know that it's Jacob Elordi in his underwear a lot of the time.
Jacob Elordi. I
Oh,
cannot
Lordy.
say
Jacob Elordi.
enough about this talented, gorgeous man.
He is just so much talent.
He's just so. I mean, there's some, and you know what? It's not just him, because something I learned about in this
I
film.
can watch him dance around naked for 20 minutes.
Will Poulter is in this film too, and I am digging him. He was the kid in
Meet the Millers.
Loved him.
That was on this weekend, by the way, and I watched it.
He's hilarious.
He's good in that.
And then he got kind of buff because he played Warlock in the Guardians of the Galaxy, the third one, and he's looking really effing good. And I was watching this, and I was like,
You liked him in this because he was a little push. He's a little like male chauvinistic a little bit. You were like, tell me what to do,
he's
Daddy.
a little masculine. He's like, we're gonna live here. It's like, yes, Daddy. You tell me where we're gonna live.
Jeremy's writing a new song called Twink Daddy.
Is it weird that I call someone 15 years younger than me daddy?
Whatever.
So, it's apparently based on a very popular novel of the same name, On Swift Horses. And it is about a married couple. It's the 1950s. And Will Poulter plays, what was his name? Lee? He plays Lee. And Jacob Elordi plays Julius, his brother. They both are in the military. And they're home it's during the Korean War. And they're both home. And Daisy Edgar-Jones, who you might remember from Twisters last year. She was in Twisters. She was also in that Andrew Garfield show about
Under
Mormons.
the Banner of Heaven on FX. That was good.
She
I
was
like that show.
great in that.
Yeah.
I didn't care for her in Twisters.
She was his wife in that?
Yes, I believe she played his wife.
She was good in that. I hated Twisters, to be honest with you.
Twisters was, I didn't really care for Twisters, but I loved her in that show. And maybe it's because the last thing I saw her in was Twisters. She was a little off-putting to me in this movie. But her husband and his brother made up for it. So the movie opens, I just want to say this because these are the notes I made as we were sitting in darkened theater. Muriel, I can see your boobs. Lee, I can see your ass. Both are fantastic.
I said starts with a bang.
Yeah, it sure does.
And by that, I mean sex.
It sure does. So they live in Kansas. They're living in Muriel's mom's house. Her mom has passed away, left the house to her. And Lee wants to move out to California way because there's, 1950s. There's a lot going on out there. They want to go to San Diego. He feels like he can really they can start a good life out there. She doesn't want to give up her mom's house. And he says, sell your mom's house and let's move to San Diego. We'll move to California. My brother Julius, who just got out of the Navy and is coming to see them in Kansas, he'll go with us. The three musketeers will take it to Cali.
Do they?
I paused there because I didn't know if you wanted to add any context to it.
No, I just want to. I just wrote down like the this is the first chauvinistic thing that this guy said because he proposes to the girl.
Yeah, and they mention it. Apparently, he has proposed several times to her, and she has said no every time.
But he says, he said, "Marry me. I can make you happy." And I always find that to be arrogant.
Yeah,
like you can't make somebody happy.
Yeah.
And I just thought like, she can make herself happy. She doesn't need a man for that.
And I'll tell you what, Lee. You don't have to try to make me happy. You just make me happy.
Yeah. You seem to make her happy at the beginning of the movie until 3 minutes later when she saw Jacob Elordi.
If he made me happy the way that he made her happy, I'd cook him dinner every night.
There was something weird about this movie the whole time. It's like she seemed to be like gaga over
the brother, right? Yeah.
But
that's what I mean, yes. And I mentioned this as we left the movie. There are a lot of times in this movie where they try to make Lee seem like this chauvinistic pig whom Muriel's too good for. And I don't know if it's just because Will Poulter is so charming. At no point did I think you're wrong, Lee. I kept thinking Lee makes a good point.
No, there were two lines that he had in the whole movie that were piggish.
He's also kind of neglected as far as the three of them. He gets the least screen time, and they delve the least amount into his story.
Yeah, and all they ever do is show him working his ass off to try to make this marriage work, to try to make to make the marriage work, to bring money into the family. He busts his ass.
Beautiful dirtbag brother. Constantly
stealing his money.
Yeah, steals his money
lying.
And throws off his responsibilities. He's going to work every day, putting food on the table, helping to pay for this house.
While his wife makes a fortune and hides it from him and then bangs all these women.
Banging other women.
And this poor guy.
God, I would be so good to you, Lee.
Oh, would you make him happy?
I would make him so happy. Anyway, so they decide, it's Christmas Eve during the Korean War. Jacob's Julius is like, yes, you know what? We're going to all move to California, but I have something I got to take care of first.
Which is me. Me.
So they go off to California. Julius says, I will meet you out there. And he doesn't. He goes to Vegas. He's like, you all hang in California, and I'm going to go to Vegas. And I think be a hooker. I got the impression that he's a hooker.
Yeah, he's a hooker.
Yeah. He's also,
I mean, that's what they called him back in the 1950s. He's a sex worker.
He's a sex worker. He's a bringer of the good times.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a diddler for money.
He's a provider of happy endings.
Yes. He hangs his hat wherever the dollar bill is. Anyway, he's a hooker. So he goes to Vegas, and he goes to this casino, and he apparently likes to scam. He's got a history of being like a card shark and scammer.
Right.
So he tells the owner, by the way, I looked at this. The owner of do you know who that is? It is a gentleman by the name of Don Swayze, Patrick Swayze's brother. I didn't know that.
I actually, when I looked up the cast earlier, it said that Patrick Swayze was, or not, that Don Swayze was in it, and I was like, who is he? I couldn't remember.
Yeah. He's Patrick Swayze's brother. He's the owner of the casino. I had no idea. So he goes up to him and says, hey, you should hire me to watch people conning you, because he saw people scamming. And
because he was scamming.
Yeah.
And this is right. He was hiding. Did you watch it? He was playing blackjack, and he hit an ace.
Yes.
On his. So he looks down, he's got an ace in his hand. How in Vegas do you hide a card?
Right?
There's no,
I mean, it's the 1950s, so they don't have cameras. In fact, we learned because he said you should hire me because I know I scam, so I know how to.
But there's a dealer that gives you a specific amount of cards. How do you hide a card and say, oh, I mean, do you just pull the card down and say, I need 2, and then you get more? Like,
to quote Joey Tribbiani, because the script says so.
Oh, okay. Yeah, there you go. That makes sense now.
But they don't have cameras back in the 1950s. So what they do is they have two-way mirrors on the ceiling, and they hire people, and they hire Julius to be one of these, who stand up in the catwalks and look down at these two-way mirrors at the tables to see if they can spot cheaters. I said, that's quite a job.
Yeah.
So he's up there, and there's
there's no air conditioning, by the way.
No, it's all very hot and sweaty.
This movie had the potential to be a movie that was filmed without air conditioning.
Yes,
but it wasn't.
But it teaters the line.
It does.
Yeah. So he goes up there, and there's a gentleman named Henry, who's played by Diego Calva. I looked him up. He was in the movie Babylon, if you remember that. That's
probably where I recognized him from.
And he was also in the show Narcos Mexico. He got a
that's probably it.
He got a Golden Globe nomination for his role in Babylon. Did you saw Babylon? Did you watch it?
I watched the first part of it because you told me to.
With the elephant's ass
Yeah.
that shoots shit? That's who the shit gets shot on him.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's the shit guy. So he also is one of those card sharks, and then him and Julius fall in love, and they do it a lot. A lot.
And then they just hang out in their underwear.
And then they just hang out in their underwear.
And one time, there's the Jacob Elordi was just wearing part of his sheet.
Yeah. Yeah, and they do this thing. Okay, so Jacob Elordi, at no point in this movie, ladies and gays, the girls, the gays, and the theys, as they say, at no point does he show his little Elordi. However, they do that thing where they let the sheet drape, so you see the V leading to the little Elordi, but you don't get to see the little Elordi, and sometimes that's even more exciting.
I mean, I feel like there's probably dialogue in that scene.
Was there?
But I don't remember what was said.
All I kept thinking is when they were in the room together, I kept thinking, I'm very uncomfortable sitting this close to Richard right now.
I'm just glad you didn't Pee Wee Herman me.
I just picture you just watch the movie, having a good time, eating your popcorn here. Don't look at me. Keep your eyes forward. Don't you look at me. So meanwhile, while he's boning away in Vegas and having a gay old time.
I feel dirty.
Oh, by the way, we should mention the other thing that kind of makes Jacob or Julius kind of a dirtbag is he was down on his luck. So Muriel sent him from her, because she's playing, we should mention, I think you mentioned this earlier, she goes to the horse races without telling her husband and makes a shitload of money because she's a waitress.
And she's a waitress at the place that all the people who play
the bets go, and she picks up on tips.
Yeah, and she uses those tips to make money.
Make a shit ton of money.
A lot.
I mean, in the 1950s, in one race, she won like $12,000, which will buy you like 9 houses.
$12,000. Here's what it'll buy you. Because I wrote this down. They actually they end up going to buy a house in California.
And didn't they say the house is like $3,000?
They say that you can buy a house for $165 down and $25 a month. And the houses are like $3,000.
Yeah, and she won $12,000 on one race. She played a bunch of races. One race she won, and she would put the money in an envelope. And throughout the movie, she's finding all places to hide her envelope so she doesn't have to tell her husband, who's busting his ass to take care of her.
Right. Like she could have laundered that into their lives a little bit.
Hey, honey, I found $50 walking on the street. Aren't I a lucky girl?
So here's the whole thing: is she was just never happy. She never wanted to marry him.
Should we tell him why she's not happy?
Do it.
She's a lesbian.
Dun, dun,
She's
dun.
a closeted lesbian.
So she never wanted to marry him at first. It's just she had to, and
I get that. It's the 1950s.
Yeah.
It's a different time. You have to do what is expected in society. But he's such a good guy.
Yeah. And so
give him some money at least.
I mean, I don't know how detailed you want. Can we just skip ahead? So he busts her. Like she when they move, she ends up meeting somebody.
Her neighbor.
Her neighbor's a lesbian.
Okay, do you know who that is?
No.
You saw The Flash, right? She's Supergirl.
Oh, okay.
I was watching it. I was like, she looks so familiar. And then I looked up. I was like, oh my God, that's Supergirl.
The only thing I remember from The Flash was the scene that you hated that was in slow motion where he was like saving
the stupid baby scene.
I loved it.
Anyway, she's Supergirl.
But I don't remember her in it.
So Muriel starts up an affair with her. And I wrote this down because she's I wrote it down. Keep talking while I look this up. Where's that note?
I mean, I guess I read a note where I think that we spent most of the movie trying to decide if Jacob Elordi was the top in the relationship because it was very elusive to find out at first.
Because the first couple of scenes, it's just they start kissing and get on top of each other in their underwear, and then they cut away, and it's like, I wonder who the top is, and then we find out,
and then you think, so then you see him you see Jacob topping the guy, and then you're like, oh, he's top, but then there's another scene.
Diego's down on, or Henry's down on his face, and you see Julia's come down on top of him, and then they're like,
okay. And so then there's this scene where you just see like Julius like down on the bed, and you're like, oh the other guy must be behind him. But then he lifts his arm, and you see that he's still under him. He's like, he's still top.
Like, so Julius is the top. If that's
the game we played.
What you need to know about this movie before you go in, Julius is the top. I found what I wanted to, I wrote down. Oh, there it is. Muriel has sex with Sandra, who's the lesbian neighbor, to feel alive. I think she says this in here. She has sex with her to feel alive. She has sex with her husband to feel normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's her whole life motto.
Right.
I fuck the neighbor to feel alive. I fuck my husband to feel normal.
Yeah, and
which is a horrible way to live.
So Julius is falling in love in Vegas with this guy.
Yes,
and
like literally, they were just a couple of bros just doing it, and having a fun time, and then they fall in love with each other.
Yes, and so then Diego is like, hey, we want to let's scam the casino we work at, and let's get a bunch of money.
Well, first he wants to scam the casino, and Julius is like, well, you can't shit where you eat. You know what I'm saying? So he says, we'll do some of the smaller casinos.
Right. But eventually he's like, let's do this casino. And he's like, I don't know. If we're going to do it, we have to do it right. And the other guy's like, I'm going to go do it anyway. And so he runs to do it, and he gets busted. And Patrick Swayze's brother beats the shit out of him.
Him and his goons beat the shit out of him.
You can't tell if they kill him or not, but then they're going...
Oh, wait a minute, you skipped the best part. So they're beating him up outside, and then Julius comes out, and he's like, were you helping him? And Henry, because he doesn't want him to get beat up, he says, I wouldn't partner up with this fairy. And so Patrick Swayze's brother says, you queer? And then, like, kicks him in the dick. But he does. It's not like a normal. It's like a dead leg.
That was a 2 glasses of wine statement. You would have said nuts without the 2 glasses of wine.
Yeah. But he, like, straight leg.
Yeah.
Almost like his knee doesn't bend. He's like, kicks him in the dick. And then he's like, get out of here, fairy.
Yeah. So he goes and runs back to California, or he runs to California to be with all of them. And this is the thing that confused me most of all, because he said, because he goes back there and all of a sudden he has a horse.
Yeah, he pulls up with a trailer with a horse.
Where did he get the horse?
I think it was Henry's horse.
Why did Henry have a horse?
Well, Henry, we think, is dead at this point. So he's like, I'm going to take the truck and the horse and get out of here.
Okay, so I must have missed that. I get the impression that he won the horse in a bet.
Maybe.
Because they made a comment about it when he got there. So he ends up with his horse.
I just wrote, Julius comes back to heads to Cali with a horse in tow. That's all I know.
So the house that the brother and the lesbian wife bought is in a suburb. It's like the beginnings of a suburb, right? So it's the
1950s after World War II. That's when suburbs started to become a thing. It's one of the first in San Diego.
But it's just important for you to know that that's like a suburb, like probably most people live in right now. It's this normal neighborhood.
Regular.
And
there's no ranches.
So they bring a horse.
Ranch-style houses,
right?
But
so imagine
no ranches.
imagine somebody comes to your house and is like, oh, we have a horse now.
He did mention, he goes, I thought you said in your letters you lived in a ranch. And he goes, we live in a ranch-style house in a subdivision. Yeah. And he's like, oh, I have a horse.
So then they do what all great animal owners do. They just let the horse go.
They just let roam the neighborhood.
So the horse just goes. It just runs off in the
Gallops
neighborhood.
away.
Gone. So then Julius is like, after a couple of days, he's like, hey, I need to borrow some money because I need to leave. I need to go.
Yeah.
I fell in love with this. He said, I have this friend who gave me, who belongs to him, and I need to find him and give it to him.
Yeah.
And the girl's like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
And he's
Mariel's all like,
he's very important
you were supposed
to me.
come out here.
And she's like, I don't get it.
Now, I will say, and this is one of the things that makes me love Lee, is earlier in the movie, he's talking with Julius, and he says to him, Julius, I know who you are. I know what kind of person you are, and I don't care. You are my brother, and I love you, and I don't care. And I was like, he's such a good man.
Yes. And then, but the point is that she is sleeping with
him so much.
She's sleeping with her neighbor. And she can't fathom the idea that Julius is in love with a man.
Yeah. She's so messed up in the head.
So that was just dumb. Anyway, so then this is kind of my favorite part of the movie.
Throughout the whole movie, you see that Lee is putting away money in a coffee can that they have in their cupboard to their savings. Yeah. So
Julius steals it all and takes off.
Yeah, back in the old days, you didn't have a savings account. You put money in a coffee can. And Julius steals all the money to go to Tijuana to find Henry.
He's going to find him because that's where Henry goes, and he hustles in Tijuana. Yeah. So he tries to go and find him because he's in love with him and he needs to find him. So then the wife is getting ready to have sex with the girlfriend, and then the girlfriend realizes, like, oh, you're just doing this for fun.
I'm just a plaything to you.
I'm just a plaything to you. She's like, you need to get out. So she goes to leave, and she's like, please, no. And
they're having a little lady spat.
Yeah, and the whole time... Wow.
And her husband pulls up.
I'm sorry, I just needed a moment. I thought what I said earlier was terrible. No, so the husband pulls up, and he sees the spat happening, and realizes that that's a lover's quarrel, and that his wife is having sex with her.
That's not how two friends talk to each other.
But then he says. Like when the next day he's talking to her and he's basically just saying, he tells a story about somebody who was in love with somebody and the other person wasn't in love with them and it was a hard thing.
Oh yeah, he was talking about Julius when they were kids and he had a girlfriend and that he loved her but she didn't love him. Yeah, and that he still.
Well, no, it was it wasn't him. It was a friend of theirs. Yeah. It was somebody they knew that was dating somebody. Oh, yeah, and Jacob was like, it was so hard for him to see that, and then he's like, he goes, and so now I feel like I'm in that. I feel like
I'm that guy.
I feel like Julius would say I'm that guy now. Yeah. Basically saying that she is
fucking around
to be happy and with him because she feels like she has to be.
But even then, he's still willing to stay with her.
Right. And then she does this. She leaves him, but she leaves a note with all of the money.
Finally money. Finally he gets the money.
She gives her all the money and says, you're a good man, Lee.
Yeah.
And you know what? She ain't wrong.
He's
He's
a
a good
good
man.
man. He's
so
a
now
good
he's
man.
now I want to know. So the movie I want to see is what's Lee's
What happened to Lee?
What happened to Lee?
So Lee disappears. So we forgot to mention there's a gay bar in town called, I think, Chester's. And she goes to there in the beginning of the movie, or in the middle of the movie. And there's a raid. They think there's going to be a raid, so they turn all the lights off and tell everybody to be quiet because it's upstairs of this hotel. So she leaves him and goes to this bar. And she's sitting at the bar. And Julius is in Tijuana looking for Henry. And this one guy goes, "Oh, I can help you find him." And he leads him out into the desert. And a bunch of his friends jump him.
Yeah.
And the thing he wants to get back to Henry is a little pistol. It's like a little 2-bullet pistol, like on a keychain or some shit. And he pulls out the gun and shoots one of the guys, and everybody else scatters. And he's all beat up, and he's sitting there. And, you know, you can tell his eyes like, "Where are you, Henry?" And then they cut to Muriel sitting at the bar.
She just left her husband.
And a man walks up to her at the bar. And it's Henry! It's Henry who's in San Diego!
While Julius
is looking for him.
So-
You both are dirtbags, but it's so romantic.
So she goes to leave, and there's this wall, and you don't know what's on the wall.
I don't know if this is a real thing.
I hope it is.
I hope it is.
So she writes something and she pins it on the wall. You don't know what it is.
Yeah, you just see her jot something,
So
put
then
it
they all
down.
go away or whatever. Now Julius got beat up in Tijuana, and he goes back to California, and he goes to this gay bar.
Yeah.
And he's looking around, and then he sees this wall, and he walks up to the wall, and on the wall is a thing.
It's a message board.
It's a message board.
It's a real life physical message
that
board.
looks like it's got real.
Like on the internet.
Yeah, it's like the wall. It was on his wall.
Yeah.
You know? That's where they get it from. And it said, "I'm Julius. I'm sorry," and it was signed Muriel.
Yeah.
And then you scroll down a little more,
Underneath
it said, "I'm sorry
sorry
too," and it was signed
Henry.
Henry.
And he goes, "I'm here," and it was a chip from the hotel, the casino that they were at. "I'm here, come find me."
Then you're never gonna believe what happens next.
Jesus Christ.
You're never gonna believe what happens.
He goes back to the house.
Wait.
Just go back to the house, and Lee has cleared out. He's packed up and
it's
moved.
empty.
We never find out what happened to Lee, which is bullshit. But then
Guess what? The horse comes
fucking
walking
horse
up.
is still there.
It comes walking up. He gets on the
Gets
horse.
on the horse.
And he rides.
It from San Diego to Vegas. Which is like 1,000 miles. That horse is gonna die before he gets there.
So what? What I find, my favorite thing about it hasn't happened in a while, but Jeremy got drunk in this episode. He's like way into this. So, but what kills me more than him riding 1,000 miles, because Jeremy did look it up right away. He looked it up right away. And he was like, just in case you're curious, he just rode 1,000 miles on that horse without any snacks, any water,
Nothing.
not a carrot for
Just
the horse,
a
nothing.
horse in a dream.
Just a horse in a dream. Yeah, that's classic. So, but like, listen. So now think about this movie, and when the horse arrives in San Diego, and when they let the horse go, and then think like that horse has been roaming this neighborhood that only has like 3 or 4 houses in it so
He's
far.
been at this place building a life.
For
Meeting other horses, roaming the desert, and you make him go to Vegas where he knows no one.
But how long? How long was this horse just roaming this neighborhood? It had time for Julius to go to Tijuana, for all of a sudden then to come back, and then the horse is just like,
ridiculous.
it's almost like the horse was roaming around for weeks, and then goes, "Oh, there you are. Hey, what's
I've been
up?
looking
It's
for
like,
you.
Jump on. Let's go to Vegas."
I hear Henry's back in Vegas. Let's go.
And then you know when he got to Vegas, he just said, "All right, thanks for the ride, buddy," and then made the
And then
thing.
he left him again.
And then the
just
horse
to
is like,
roam.
probably had a girlfriend back home.
I bet the sequel is the horse getting back to San Diego to see his girlfriend. Oh, I'd watch that movie.
And this movie was called On Swift Horses. I think it should have just been called On Swift Horse.
yeah, there was only one horse.
Well, I mean, there was the horse races.
Holy shit.
She built her fortune
I
on
didn't
Swift
realize.
horses.
So many horses.
They live fast lives.
Anyway, Lee, you deserved better. I hope you took that money and all of your belongings and you started a beautiful life. Oh, by the way, we forgot this part. So in order to buy the house in San Diego, Lee kept telling Muriel, you need to sell your mom's house in Kansas. So obviously they bought the house with her horse winnings. And she said, oh, I sold my mom's house. I got the $3,000 for the house. Here you go. And he goes, this is the most money I've ever seen in my life. And I'm thinking, there's $12,000 behind the painting in your bedroom,
it's a
Lee.
fraction of what she wanted, Lee.
So the movie ends with her back at her mother's, sitting on the porch at her mother's farm. She didn't sell the farm. She kept it. She is back living her best life. Julius is on his way to Henry to live his best life. And I just hope I hope he lived his best life.
Yeah.
If you're in New York right now, Lee, I'll be there soon.
I want to read you. What do you think it was on Rotten Tomatoes?
You know what? When we walked out of this movie, my first thing was...
Whatever your guess is wrong, but go ahead.
Oh, no. Because my first thing when I walked out of the movie, I was like, I don't know if I like that. And then I sat with it a while, and I liked the movie more than when we walked out of it. But when I was walking out, I even thought, I was like, this is that kind of slow burn that critics love. So I was thinking it would be like a 91, 92. Audience is probably too slow for them. I'd say like a 79.
Audience was 74.
All right, yeah.
Critics, I'm going to give you another guess.
Oh, God. 72.
I'm going to give you another guess.
Am I between it?
No.
No! 49!
51.
Shut up!
I will.
Critics are stupid. That is not a 49 movie.
I'm going to read you one of the reviews. Okay. It would have been a better movie if there was no dialogue and Elordi just stood around half naked making out with people.
Well, now I need to know who that critic is. I'm going to read everything he's written.
That critic is Jeremy Williams in New York.
Yeah, I did.
At gmail.com. I don't disagree with that statement, but I got to say, I liked it right off the bat. I feel like it's one of those sort of like, Oscar-y, award-winning sort of things that usually bore the shit out of me. In fact, I was watching... Did you ever watch Seinfeld?
I love Seinfeld.
I was watching Seinfeld last night as
I was watching Seinfeld yesterday.
The episode where the English patient, everybody was in love. Everybody loved the English patient.
I totally agree with Elaine. I find that movie to be so boring.
Elaine hated it, and nobody can understand why. They won't serve her coffee at the restaurant. None of her it
is very boring.
Her boyfriend leaves her. Like nobody wants to be her friend because she hated that movie. So this to me seems like that kind of a movie.
Yeah,
but I actually really like this. And I want to say this about Daisy Edgar Jones.
Yes.
I know that you weren't a fan of her necessarily in this movie, but as an actress, half of 90% of her role was subtext.
Yeah.
And she was so good at that.
You could look at her character is almost all entirely responsive. Yeah. Responds to the way people say and do to her.
But you know that in her mind, she is an independent, strong woman, but she's playing this role. Yeah. And so everything that's happening to her, internally, it's a different situation for her. And she nailed it. Yeah. I thought she did really good.
I will say the longer that it went on, the more I thought about the movie, the more I liked it, even her performance. I'm pretty sure most of my critiques of her performance aren't about her performance. It's the way she treated Lee.
Gotcha. I get it.
And
he had you at his ass right at the beginning of the movie. You saw that ass. I gotta tell you. And you thought,
and this isn't for Lee.
My movie. Lee is my man.
This is for Will Porter.
That ass, though.
That ass. I don't know what work you've been doing on that ass, but you've been doing good work. I appreciate it.
What are we? Jeremy just turned into like a sermon. That ass, though.
As I approach that ass.
I'm going to give this 4 grapes. I think it was that good.
You know what? I'll go 4 too.
Yeah.
After walking out, I probably would have done 3.5, but I will go a solid 4 with it.
Yeah, I think it's a good one to see. As far as the gay flicks go, again, I always go back to this, like when I came out and and then in my teens and my 20s, and I was looking for like gay representation in movies. There were a lot of bad movies out there. This was not a bad movie at all.
No,
this
would have been like early 90s, like Brad Pitt, Keanu Reeves type thing. I'd have been down with that. Like 90s Keanu Reeves and Brad
Telling
Pitt.
you, you got to watch My Private Idaho. I got to go back
they
and watch
both in
that.
it?
No, but Keanu Reeves and River Phoenix.
Do you know what I did on Saturday as I was cleaning up and I was going through closets and packing up and stuff? I had an 80s day and I watched Goonies, Stand By Me, and 16 Candles. And all three of them, fantastic
Movies.
But Stand By Me is so good and I wasn't even drinking, but I got emotional watching it. It's a very different movie when you get your mid 40s, and you watch it than when you watch it as a kid.
Yeah, because it's really about a guy in his mid 40s reflecting on his life. I love that movie. When I remember that is the first movie I ever saw that I was emotionally connected to.
Yeah.
I loved it, and I saw it in '86, I think, or something. I forget when it came out.
Yeah, mid to late 80s it came out.
And I just I just loved it, and probably because I was in love with River Phoenix.
River Phoenix is good. All of the kids in it are good.
Yeah.
I didn't realize John Cusack plays his brother. Kiefer Sutherland plays the bully guy. I didn't realize there were so many famous people in it. Yeah, been a while since I'd seen it, but great movie. 4.5 grapes.
I'm gonna give that one 5.
All right, I'll give it 5.
Yeah, that we don't have to cover a movie next week. We just did.
There we go. Nothing gay in it though. I mean, I guess the kids are kind of gay for each other. I'm sure they say
the F word a lot.
I didn't hear. Oh no, they did once. Yeah.
I know they. Yeah.
I also watched chapters 1 and 2 yesterday. And both of those are still very good movies. They say faggot in that twice. Anyway, I'm just gonna every week I will tell you what movies I watched and how many times I said faggot.
Well, when
in
you
those
say
movies.
80s, I assume it's got to mean no less than 10.
Yeah. Michael J. Fox and Teen Wolf. Breaks my heart every time.
He didn't write it.
Anyway, we will be back next week with something. I don't know what we're talking about, but we'll talk about something.
I have an idea, though.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
I look forward to hearing it. But until then, the cork is back in the bottle.